further ado, I want to present you guys. So I'm going to turn this off right now.
Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna project my voice a little bit more further so that way you guys can hear me more. But Chigo, thank you so much for being here. You are an amazing woman and you are working for Levi's, a mind for 30, mind in denim, 30 under 30. So welcome, thank you so much. I would love for you to just share a little bit about yourself and a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing.
Yeah, well, before I get started, I really just want to honor you, Christina, for creating this space. I think it's something that's so needed and so necessary. So if we can just give a quick. Hi everyone, my name is Chigo Ikeme, and I lead denim fabric development at Levi's for the global men's business. I have been with Levi's coming on to 4 years now, originally from LA, got my start in fashion at the tender age of 16. I knew that I wanted to be in fashion, I knew that I wanted to be in textiles. I just love how dynamic the industry of textiles is, right? When we think about fashion, there's so many different shirts that you can do, so many different dresses that you can do, but it's really in the fabric where I feel like it's kind of almost like my playground. So yeah.
Yes, that's amazing. So we're gonna jump right in. Innovation from the inside. You're leading denim development at one of the most iconic fashion brands in the world. What does innovation actually look like at Levi's?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think thinking about Levi's and just the history that is embedded in the culture of San Francisco, embedded in the fashion industry. I mean, they put denim on the map over 150 years ago. So to be someone now that has a voice in the denim that we're producing now, it's really being able to marry the heritage of our brand, but still being able to provide something that's fresh, new, and innovative. So not necessarily rebuilding the wheel, but how do we make the wheel better? So thinking about innovation, at least from my viewpoint, thinking about fiber innovation, right? When we think about denim, we think about cotton, but there's so many other different fibers out there that can still produce a good quality denim. Even thinking about performance technologies, thinking about denim that can keep you warm in cool weather and cool in warm weather. So these are all just a few of the really cool innovations that are happening in denim and the way that we can still stay true to our heritage, but making sure that we're at the center of culture.
So are you letting us know that Levi's is gonna be making jeans to make us hot or cold?
So we actually well, right now on our website, we actually just recently launched something called Thermodapt. So for the men and the women as well, but it's specifically in our men's 501 fit, which the 501 is our iconic straight fit that came out 152, I think the 501 is now 152 years old. And so we came out with the Thermodapt technology, and it does exactly that. So it wicks away moisture. So, if you get a little sweaty, or if you're hiking, or if you're biking, the jeans will keep you cool. But then it also is able to retain heat as well. So if you're in a cooler climate, it'll keep you warm. So that's live on the site now. This is not sponsored, but you should check it out.
Yeah, and you heard it first at Beautéverse. Awesome. So denim is a legacy product with a future forward audience that we have here. I want to ask you, how do you guys honor that heritage without breaking the boundaries of what true innovation looks like and still keeping that heritage of Levi's?
Yeah. So when we think about Levi's and when we think about how it started, it was very practical, right? You think about back in the day, in the 1800s in San Francisco, there was the gold rush, and the miners needed to be able to hold their gold. And so the denim overall, the denim work all came on the scene, and it was a very it was a workwear thing. People weren't wearing it for fashion. But then denim continued to evolve, especially with Levi's. We continued to evolve where we wanted to make sure that we were at the center of culture. We think about, and sorry, I don't want to give like a history lesson, but you know, we think about even like the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
You know, denim being worn almost like a political statement. Thinking about denim being worn in schools back in the 50s, how that was something that was unheard of. And looking at to where we are today, denim still continues to be a mainstay in our wardrobe. And so as a company, as a brand, it's like we think about, okay, what do our customers know and love from us, right? We have high quality products. I think about denim jeans that have been around for over 100 years. We have beautiful shades and finishes and colors, and it's comfortable. And so now my role when I think about creating new fabrics, I still want to make sure that it's high quality. I still want to make sure that it washes down really well. I still want to make sure that it's comfortable, breathable, that it's not something that deviates from who Levi's is, but still being relevant. So even fun things like jeans that can keep you cool and warm, like that's kind of different,
Yeah.
but it still maintains that authentic character that our Levi's customers have come to know and love.
Yes, we can't forget about Levi's. My boyfriend brings all my Levi's to the yard. That campaign was so good. I loved it.
I think even Beyonce, I think she
Oh
likes
yes,
Levi's
she did.
too.
Yeah. Very true. Okay. Well, let's dive into more of the creative side. You're not just developing fabric, you're working with chemistry, sustainability, sourcing, and style. So how do you bring creativity into such a technical role?
Yeah. That's a really great question. I think in my role specifically, how I define creativity is actually through having a point of view. So really with my role, I'm collaborating with our designers, I'm collaborating with our merchandisers. So our designers, they have the vision, they have a silhouette, they have, you know, a trend that they want to achieve. And so my role is to be able to create a fabric that will work with the fits that they want to do, right? A fabric can make or break a product. And so sometimes, you know, there's a, how do I say this nicely? Sometimes to bring a designer's vision to life, you know, you can't have it all.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so in my role, it's like I'm thinking about the price. I'm thinking about what region are we sourcing this denim from, because these are the things that are part of my expertise that maybe the designer may not have the full visibility on. And so creativity is being able to speak up, being able to provide solutions, being able to be like, hey, you know, maybe we can't do this particular stretch percentage, but maybe we can do something like something else. So creativity is speaking up, having a point of view, being confident in the skills that I have and the knowledge that I have with fabrics, and then just being able to marry that together with what are the designers wanting to do, what are the merchandisers trying to do.
I love that. No, yeah, that's very true. Having the, you know, confidence in yourself to tell the designer, because a designer, yep, that's very
We
true.
love our designers.
So what are some of the most exciting materials or processes you've worked with recently that people might not know about?
Yes. So, well, now you guys all know about Thermodapt. So I'll say it again so that the algorithm can do its thing. But another exciting innovation that I had the honor of working on is something that we call our Stay Dark Indigo. Again, I work in the men's denim business, so my fabric is focused on the men's industry. But you know, sometimes you just want a good pair of black jeans that are gonna stay black after however many washes.
Yeah.
So I was able to help work on a technology for that. So it's like you can get, you know, a nice crisp pair of black jeans. You can wash it 20 times and it's still going to maintain its color and the deep saturation of the black. I'm trying to think what I can talk about that is out. You know, again, like with men's
You can talk about it.
Again, within our men's 501, like we have really cool like colors. So we just launched this beautiful burgundy denim in our 501.
Oh, wow.
So again, just ways to keep it fun and fresh,
Yeah.
but not straying too far from.
Absolutely. That burgundy denim, that's an innovator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's on the site now.
Yes. Okay. We know Levi's has been part of the sustainability conversation for years. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for meaningful change in product development today?
Yeah, so I mean, it's no surprise. The manufacturing industry is within one of the top polluting industries in the world. And specifically with denim, we really see that when it comes to the use of water. The water usage that's being used, even from procuring the fiber, like the water that is used in the washes and all of the different processes. But from a sustainability standpoint, what I love about Levi's is that that's something that's at the forefront of what we do. And so we work with mills and we work with factories that recycle and reuse their water. So they have these different processes where the water that they use maybe to do the finishing on one jean, like they're able to recycle and reuse that to the point where the water is actually drinkable.
Wow.
Now I haven't.
Right. Levi's.
But
Is that Levi's water?
It's not Levi's water. But again, just thinking about like how do we even think about consumption, right? Because that's a huge, that continues to be a huge pain point. Thinking about sustainability and fashion, it's just like the over consumption. And so even when I'm thinking about creating fabrics, it's like I'm creating fabrics that are built to last. Not just something that you buy once and then you discard and it ends up in a landfill. Even from the fiber level, thinking about using less plastics.
Very good.
Right, so using less
biodegradable,
right, and more natural fibers. So these are all just I feel like I play a small-ish part in that, but it still makes a huge difference, at least from the sustainability standpoint. And to even double down into that, sustainability for us at Levi's, like it's the climate, it's the consumption, but it's also the community. So thinking about creating a safe working environment, both here at our headquarters, but also overseas in different plants. So it's a very like holistic approach for us when it comes to sustainability. And there is a sustainability report that actually just came out a couple of months ago. So you can check that out and just see more of the ways that we are really like sustainability is not a buzzword for us. It's something that we're actually putting our hands to and trying to make a difference and have an impact in that space.
That's great to hear that there's actually a sustainability report and you can actually see the actual work that Levi's is doing and nobody's doing water like Levi's. That's awesome. I love that. So I do want to move into the young influencers that might be in here. And you were named one of the sourcing journals, Denim Minds Under 30. What did that recognition mean to you, and how do you hope to lead in the space?
Yeah, so that was something that I was kind of shocked by because when I think about fashion and I think about product development and I think about fabric development, we tend to be the behind the scenes, right? I was actually talking to one of the guests here where sometimes I feel like, like if you've ever watched Cinderella, sometimes I feel like the mice that made the pink dress, because they didn't get their credit. That was a beautiful dress.
Yeah,
You're
right.
Okay, so going back to the question. So I was nominated as one of Denim. It used to be called Denim's Greatest Minds Under 30, but now it's just Denim Minds Under 30. That's fine. And it was humbling. I think especially as a woman, as a Black woman in the corporate fashion space, sometimes it can feel a bit lonely. Sometimes it can feel like, okay, is what I'm doing actually making a difference? Does anybody notice? Or am I just coming in 9 to 5, doing my thing, going back? And so to have that recognition, it was like, oh, okay, I guess what I'm doing is moving the needle somehow. And a fun fact was that it was through that recognition that the former VP of product development at Levi's, she read my article and she reached out to me and said, I need you at Levi's. And I said, okay. And so, so it's like a full circle moment for me, having that recognition. But yeah.
That's an amazing recognition. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. So as a Black woman in product innovation, what has helped you stay grounded while navigating both creativity and corporate expectations?
Yeah, especially in the denim industry, like for me, this is how I reclaim my space. And when I say my, I don't mean me personally, but I mean for other Black and brown women and people of color. Because when we think about the history of denim, it doesn't have the most glorified past, right? We think about cotton, and we think about how just the history of that in America. And so now for me to be kind of on the other side, and for me to now have a voice, and for me to now be able to create something where maybe 50 years from now, someone will be like, oh my God, I love my vintage pair of Levi's, like a fabric developed by a Black woman. Like for me, that's just like, wow. But what keeps me grounded, honestly, is my faith. Like I really believe that I'm not just doing this for fun. I really do believe that this is part of my calling. Being creative, like using the gifts that have been given to me to be able to leave a mark in this world. For me, it's never been about recognition, but even it's just like passing by and seeing somebody wearing the jeans that I got to work on. I'm like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, just like remembering my why, remembering that like my name wasn't just picked out of a hat, and that's why this role was given to me. But understanding that I deserve to be in that space, and understanding that I can bring other people along, because representation matters. And so, you know, even if I think about like my younger self, it's like I always felt like, oh, it's just me. Like I feel so othered, and I feel like I don't see anyone in the fashion industry that looks like me. And to now be here, like I think about, you know, the next little girl that would be like, oh wow, she looks like me, I can do it too. So yeah, that's really what keeps me grounded.
Yeah, I love to hear the threads of, you know, your calling, and the threads of the actual threads of the cotton,
Yeah.
and the threads of, you know, what you are representing, and the threads of the representation that will be there afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's all done through the fibers. So
Yeah.
that's really amazing. So awesome. Well, we want to move on into the future. And so what's one product or innovation trend in fashion that you're excited about but feel it's still a misunderstood or underused?
I think about this one carefully so I don't give anything away.
That's okay, you can share it.
Yeah, I would say within the fiber innovation space, like, you know, where people are exploring like the use of like banana fibers in fabrics. It's still very like in the seed stages, but even just, I think there's so many more other natural fibers out there that I think, especially working in the fashion industry, like we have the opportunity to use. It does take a lot of trial and error till when you're ready to bring out something that, okay, is viable, the quality is good. But yeah, so like banana fibers, you know, there's different types of, a lot of just different types of plant-based, you know, even hemp. Like hemp still has a negative connotation in other parts of the world, but like hemp uses much less water than cotton does. Hemp is very durable. So just thinking of ways like, okay, what other fibers are out there that we can utilize, and just, again, think, yeah.
Wow, that's true. Now when I eat a banana, this could definitely be my next gene here. I love that. Okay, if you gave a blank check to design the future of denim, what would you create?
Wow. So I think about like the sisterhood of the traveling pants.
It's a good example.
And you know, it's if money was not an issue, if the technology was not an issue, it's like almost creating jeans that like grow with you. you know, especially as a woman.
Yes.
You know, sometimes they zip, sometimes it doesn't zip. But like I would create a product that it grows with you, it moves with you. So I don't have to buy so many pairs of jeans. I can just have my one, and it just molds and adapts and moves and comes along with me, and I can hand it down to my children, and they can hand it down to theirs, and it just, yeah.
I love that. That would be really nice to, you know, see how like a pair of jeans could be, you know, passed down, which most women can't pass their pants down. Yeah, because we are like either you're that size or you're not, and sometimes we just are not that size that our mom was. So that's very true. Yes. Awesome. I love this conversation. Thank you so much for joining me and for coming into Beautéverse and allowing others to listen. I would like to take this time now to open it up to the actual audience and to see if anyone here would like to ask some questions. Noelle, good job.
Sorry. First, just want to say thank you so much for being here. And I'm gonna get a pair of those 501 jeans. So you must be in marketing or something, because the way you're describing it, I'm like, I haven't gotten a pair in so long, and now I'm gonna go check that out, especially the burgundy ones. So I'm my name's Noel, part of the team here with TikTok, and my question is, with social media in particular, the creator economy, being able to now move into the future where all the young kids are, teenagers, everyone, and like how you're buying products and services and goods. And it doesn't have to be from Levi, it could be your perspective too, but how are you seeing that involved with like as you're designing and creating, you know, jeans and products and such, and combining that with creators that are modeling it, that are going on live streams, that are showing you the actual thing, right? Which is a lot different than maybe the standstill picture you would have on a website. You're seeing somebody walk through it, show you the product, show you the fabric, and even be able to buy it right there and then in one shop. So that's something like I know on the TikTok side, TikTok shop has been very popular. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that in the future there with fashion and social media.
Yeah, I think when I think about fashion, it's like before it was always almost like this trickle down effect. So everything would come from like the super high end designers, and then we would have like the brands in the middle that were like trying to make their own or create their own dupes of what they were seeing. But now it's like, especially with social media, it's like the trends are no longer dictated by, you know, these big fashion houses. Now it's just, it could be dictated by, you know, someone 2 blocks away from here. So I think it's incredible just like the speed at which, you know, we're able to showcase our products. I think about, there was a jean for women that we made called the cinch baggy, and that like blew up on social media. Like everybody, you know, every other post was a woman trying on her cinch baggy and people wanting to like get the cinch baggy, and it was so like grassroots. Like we didn't pay for that. This was just, it kind of shows us like, okay, we are paying attention to our customer. We know what they're liking. And so to have that type of like natural engagement, I think is incredible. But yeah, like the social media, like it just, it brings the access like closer, right? Like I don't have to wait. I don't have to go to the store. I see it now. I want it now. So yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else? Yes? You want to stand up so we can hear you?
All right, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Actually, I read that Levi has an accelerator program, Levi Lead, focused on companies within its chain system. I'm trying to figure out, Levi is going to start one to deal with external companies like L'Oreal has one like that deals with any other startup and supports it. Or are you just going to keep on focusing on those within your ecosystem like supply chain? That's my question.
That's a great question. That is unfortunately out of my wheelhouse. So I do not have an answer for you. I apologize.
Yeah.
So I think like a important talk is well, I love everything. Like you just said, I didn't know so much about Levi, so yeah, I'm a Levi fan because of my husband basically. And my question was more like you were saying, and I kind of feel a little bit the same, you know, being a Latin woman in tech. And what about your role models? Like, who were your, like, I don't know, seeing 3 years ago, and who are your role models today that you are following up? You know, like, I mean, I think like something like that not shocked me, but like it stayed with me, you know, like as you were saying, right? Like it's an industry that maybe there are not many black women, like I don't know, like in fabrics. I'm not like 100% in the industry, so I don't know about it, but it really shocked me. So I don't know if you have any role model, also an advice on like who to see or like or follow up or something.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a little bit of a sore subject, but I would say as far as role models, I didn't necessarily have someone that I looked up to as far as that I felt represented by, right? So role models for me, you know, when I just think about like the great fashion houses of like Yves Saint Laurent. So Yves Saint Laurent, the original Yves Saint Laurent, the man himself, he was a role model for me because he was one of the very first high-end fashion designers that brought black women and women of color onto his runway. So as a child, I was always like, I want to be the CEO of a fashion company. Like I want to be a role model for others. And not saying that there aren't, you know, amazing, talented black designers out there. Like I love Brandon Blackwood. So ladies, if you love handbags, Brandon Blackwood, he is an incredible, talented handbag designer. But again, thinking about the denim space, it's very few.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for you coming in tonight and just, you know, sharing with us. It was such an incredible conversation, and just to hear more about Levi's and learn more about Levi's. Yeah, it's definitely truly amazing work that you're doing, and we're just so happy to have you. Thank you for joining us. All right, guys, we have one final speaker, so please, Kristen, come and join me. I would love to have you and have this conversation. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been a really, fantastic event. 2 phenomenal speakers already, so excited to round it out, and it's been lovely getting to meet all of you as well.
Awesome. I'd love for you to be able to just share a little bit about who you are and how you started in venture capital and where you were before that, so that our audience can be a little more familiar with who you are.
Yeah, sure. I'm Kristen Rogers. I'm Director for Brand Retail, Media Ad, and Sports Tech at Plug and Play. Plug and Play Ventures is considered one of the most active early stage venture capital firms in the world. Not by size of check, but by number of checks. We do about 200 plus a year, so we did 247 last year. We also do corporate innovation. So for the retail, the media, the sports perspective, I work with our corporate clients, be it on the retail side, I'll speak specifically, a Walmart, a Chick-fil-A, a Nike, a Red Bull, a very large fashion brand out of Paris that starts with the letter C that I always get in trouble for saying the name. So it's this really wide variety of luxury retailer, big box retailer, grocery stores, QSRs, working as an extension of their innovation arm. So helping source early stage technologies to solve problems for them, or maybe they're looking for investment or M&A potentials as well. And then finally, we do run accelerator programs too. So a lot of that early stage tech we'll bring in, hopefully getting into pilot and POC with our anchor advisory, which are the corporates that sit on our board, taking their validation that we should invest in that early stage technology. To your point, Christina, did not start in venture capital. I started my career as a sports anchor. So I'm born and bred here in the Bay Area. but I worked in television for almost a decade, spent most of my time in Philadelphia, covered everything from Super Bowls to Final Fours to NBA Finals, and still feel that I'm a storyteller at heart. Went off camera so that I could start telling stories through tech, especially during the pandemic, saw how much the media industry was changing, saw how much the sports industry was changing, and I really wanted to be part of that conversation. And then about a year ago, when I was still with my last startup, ran into the CEO of the current venture firm that I'm with, got to talking, and he brought me in to lead the media and the sports practice. About 6 weeks later, he had me take over the retail perspective as well too. So it has been fantastic getting to learn the retail side in the last year at this point, and to hear from phenomenal folks that come from the fashion industry. I just love learning from you along the way too. So thank you for that.
Awesome. So you work closely with major brands in retail, fashion, and consumer tech. What are these companies really looking for right now when it comes to innovation? What problems are they trying to solve?
Yeah, we can't sit here at SF Tech Week and not talk about AI, right? So the number one request that we get, be it from that QSR, that luxury brand, that grocery, that big box retailer, is how is AI changing the customer journey, right? So the biggest thing that we see, it's kind of twofold. It's that on-site and that off-site search right now, because e-commerce is just being overhauled at this point. So we know that folks aren't going to Google anymore to look for products. They're going to ChatGPT, they're going to Perplexity, they're going to Gemini, and they're asking it to create more contextual and more personalized answers for them, right? So instead of going to Google, I'm not going to search, and I actually just did this because I need a new blush, where I said, I'm not going to Google and saying, show me the top blushes for fall. I'm asking that into ChatGPT. I'm then saying, hey, I prefer Rhode because it's now at Sephora and I'm dying to try one of their pocket blushes. I love Patrick Ta. I'm giving it my own recommendations. It's then giving those back to me. But how do you make sure, if you are a brand or a retailer, that your product has that discoverability and that searchability? Because ChatGPT and Perplexity, they're making their own recommendations. So the days of search engine optimization are over. It's all about generative engine optimization, right? GEO. So how do you make sure that you're creating these SKUs on your website, or you're creating this language that is not only readable by a human, but by an LLM, so that you can be promoted within those searches? Same thing as we look to agentic commerce, right? So if I go to Nike.com, I want to say, show me red shoes that I like, not just show me Nike Pegasus 7X, or more commonly, I'm training for a half marathon, what shoes should I buy, right? So creating those more real-time personalized recommendations based upon my consumer profile, that's all changing within AI. So that e-com space being wildly disruptive, I think we're seeing a lot in the brick and mortar space, which we can touch on in a few, because I am excited about the return to store right now. But how AI is changing the customer journey online is definitely the number one thing they're asking for.
Awesome. Beauty and fashion are going through a major tech shift. What are some of the most exciting or unexpected innovations you're seeing across the space?
Yeah, I would say AI for creation. And that's not to say to take away the human element by any means. But there's a great company called Bling that came out of LVMH's accelerator that's focused on jewelry, but it takes this idea of creating a sketch and then creating a mock-up much more quickly and more realistically, right? So instead of going through the traditional process and then figuring out, hey, like let me send this to actually get created, it's almost that digital twin aspect of I'm able to now see what processes I would have to go through to have this piece of jewelry be created. So I think the same thing for designing fashion, right? Inditex is a partner of ours, and when it comes to putting together like a beautiful like leather skirt like yours, Christina, right? It's probably going to take them 75 pieces from 75 different manufacturers in order to build out that piece. So how you're able to shorten that like upfront process, I think is big. I also think no one's getting virtual try-ons quite right now, and I think as we see the kind of blurring of the lines between the e-commerce space and the in-store space, trying to figure out what that looks like, I'm still waiting to see.
Absolutely. I think that sure fit with the virtual reality, once they get it right, I think it's going to be a major innovation in fashion and really push it forward. That's awesome. You've worked in fast-paced, high-stakes environments, from live sports to live pitches. What traits can you see in founders that remind you of top athletes?
I would say being prepared, right? You know these, and I'm going to speak from the NFL perspective because that's my favorite sport. But you know that these players are spending each and every day knowing the ins and outs of their playbook. Same thing when you're a founder, right? You know everything about your product, but you also know everything about the landscape in which you're playing. Same thing if you are an NFL quarterback, not only do you know everything about your team, you know everything about what every other team is doing, right? So you know how to be prepared when you go up against them. I would say oftentimes, and we can talk about like tips and, you know, from founders and pitches moving forward, but I would say that, you know, knowing where you fit in the landscape and how the inevitable question of how are you different than XYZ competitor, that's something that inherently every single founder has to have, and that's where I kind of see that similarity between a founder and like an NFL quarterback, for example.
Do you see that the NFL quarterback knows that they're the quarterback, and do you see a founder has to know he's the founder, or does a founder still kind of like, if they don't believe in themselves, they don't know they're a founder? I mean, the NFL player knows, like he's in there playing, making the moves.
I would say there's different types of founders, right? There are technical founders, there are visionary founders. I think the best founders know where they fit into the team that they're building, and it's the same thing if you're an NFL player, right? Like you should not be selfish. You should know where you fit into the scheme. Same thing if you're a founder. You should know that you're not always right 100% of the time, and that's why you need to surround yourself with people that know better than you, whether it's like for example, I don't have an engineering background by any means. If I wanted to create a product, I am finding the best engineering team and bringing them in. I'm relying on their strengths, and I think recognizing that is something we see a lot from successful founders, is recognizing their strengths and then supplementing it with folks that do it really well.
Are there characteristics that a founder who then VC investors look at that are kind of similar to an athlete that you feel like, you know, are worth investing into, or that you see that most of these founders who do get investment have?
Yeah, I think my favorite founders are the ones that can answer the why. Not just what you're building, but why you're building it. For example, there's a great company that we've been working with called Ethosphere AI based out of Seattle. And the founder and CEO is the former head of technology from Starbucks. And he left to create this tech because it's tech that he wanted to have available to him while he was at Starbucks. So essentially it's physical AI, it's within all of your microphones. You can have this LLM on the back end that recognizes the store employee's voice, not the customer's voice. So there's no data or privacy concerns there. But it will better train your employees, right? You can have that script of this is how you should be responding back to prompts. It gives you that kind of those tips and tricks for, you know, different scenarios when you're kind of standing at the counter in the Starbucks example, you know, like as a barista, or, you know, when you're back in the kitchen. But it can also pull in on customer insights as well too, where it will say, oh, you know, I heard that my employees talked about pumpkin spice lattes like 10x, like maybe we should, you know, create more promotions around this, or maybe we should, you know, have our inventory restocked if we're seeing a dip, and kind of, where you can pick up on some of those, you know, kind of predictions there. But again, I would say it's the founders that not just understand where they fit into the market, but the why of what they're building, not just the what.
Perfect. That's so good. At Plug and Play, you sit at a unique intersection of media, tech, and storytelling. How important is founder narrative when it comes to getting backed or selected for partners? Partnerships.
It's, you know, I sit here in VC. I don't think that every startup needs venture backing by any means. But I think those that do have that right combination of answering the why and the product market fit. You know, we look at those really early stage technologies, so we love to see the, you know, 2 guys and a dog in a garage somewhere in Cupertino. I think that if you can answer the what, the why, and the where, that's when you're going to get venture backing. But again, if you're a founder in this room, you don't have to get venture backing to get off the ground, right? Go to friends and families, go to angels, look for those strategic partnerships before you look for venture backing, in my opinion.
No, yeah, that's very true. So you've sat front row to thousands of startup pitches. What stands out to you? What makes a founder or startup memorable in a sea of decks and demos?
Yeah. Something that we see a lot, and I hear from my corporate partners, again, the Costcos, the Walmarts, the Nikes of the world, when they have to sit and watch these decks, if you're pitching for a partnership, right? Like if you're pitching to have your technology be brought on by one of these large brands or retailers, you don't really have to say who you are. And that may sound silly, but a lot of these folks want to see the product and then they want to get into who you are. So if you are trying to pitch for a partnership, show the demo, get into the what problem you're solving and do your research as to why you think your tech can solve a problem for Walmart. If you're looking at venture, yeah, maybe then say, oh yeah, I went to XYZ college, or these are my credentials or whatnot. But from the partnership perspective, start with why you're solving the problem and what problem you're solving for them, then you can get into who you are after. And I think sometimes, going into the soliloquies, and a lot of our partners, one of them at Costco jokes, he's like, I don't have to hear that someone went to Harvard again. Like, that's not gonna make me want your tech. Like, no, like, tell me what problem you're solving and then we'll have that conversation. I don't care where you went to college, just tell me why your technology is going to be the best fit for my company.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I agree. So if you have such a broad view of emerging tech, what's one area you think more founders should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I mentioned the virtual try-ons, which again, I just don't think we have that right now. And there's this really cool movement of back to store, which I love to see, right? People are going back in store and they want to blur the lines between the digital experience and the in-store experience. And so we've talked with the folks over at Ralph Lauren and they've gone through so many iterations of what that looks like, whether it's mirrors or whatnot. And I think as you look to, whatever that physical AI is that you're going to bring in, right? And physical AI for us, that is any existing hardware that you have within your ecosystem, and then you have that LLM that sits on top of it. Just trying to create something that, you go into a store, but you know that the journey starts at home, and then it ends at home as well too, right? So how can you create something that truly is, cyclical? And I don't think anyone has fully nailed that. I would also say too, I'm really bullish on anything in the GEO or agentic commerce space right now. But I think that folks are overshooting it a little bit too much and thinking that everyone just because OpenAI released Operator where you can create your own shopping agent, not everyone is creating their own shopping agent right now. You have to think about where the consumer's at as well.
Yeah, definitely have to think of the consumer first.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're not solving a problem.
No, exactly. It's interesting. There was a panel earlier this week. If anyone went to Gap's Women in Tech event, absolutely fantastic. And Sven, the CTO, was asked about their AI strategy, and he said, "Remember where the consumer is at." And a lot of times when we work with these corporates on their innovation strategies, specifically around AI, they want to be really forward thinking, but they also have to realize where the consumer's at. The CEO of OpenTable, Debbie Sue, also spoke, and she said, hey, think about OpenTable. 28 years ago, it was created because people thought that no one was going to call and make restaurant reservations anymore. 28 years later, people are still calling and making restaurant reservations. So you don't take away that phone operation, potential. What you do is you augment it with AI to make it more easily accessible, more accurate, and more efficient for the consumer. So again, it is realizing where your consumer is at. And yes, you can be forward thinking. Yes, you can have, and you need to have agents on your site if you're a brand or a retailer. Yes, you need to think about how AI is affecting your searchability and your discoverability, but you also have to create something with the consumer in mind, not just where you think you should be moving forward.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that that's part of the pitch as well too, right?
Yeah.
You're able to see if that's, the consumer product being solved in that type too.
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, if not, then obviously it's just a pass, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Awesome. So if you could give one piece of advice to a beauty or fashion tech founder hoping to work with Plug and Play or other innovation partners, what would it be?
Yeah. If it's within Plug and Play, find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to chat. I think in general, it's understanding that what the why and the where, right? So it's understanding the what are you solving for, it's the why are you solving for it, and it's the where are you solving for it, and where do you fit within the market, and how are you different compared to everyone else that's trying to solve it. I mentioned earlier, I'm really bullish right now on generative engine optimization and agentic commerce, but there are thousands of agents out there. There are thousands of GEO solutions out there right now. So how are they differentiating from each other? I also think realizing too that even though there are technologies that fit across a luxury retailer and a big box store and a grocery store, you can also get really specific too, right? Like there is some tech that only a QSR is going to look for. There's some tech that only a luxury retailer is going to look for. So depending on what your background is, right? Like if you come from the QSR space, if you come from the grocery space, if you come from luxury and apparel, like stay in that lane, like solve that problem first and then figure out where those other off-ramps can be.
With so many different fashion tech companies really popping up on the scene, being the next Clueless app, and we're just seeing a lot of what happens in fashion, luxury houses. New York Fashion Week just happened.
Yep.
Paris Fashion Week just happened, and then soon we'll see all of the fast fashion take those same designs and just reproduce them at lower prices. Fashion tech also, we're seeing that similarity in the apps and the fashion tech that's being created, and not much innovation because it's a lot of the same copycat features of the Clueless app. When you see a deck or when you see founders creating the same technology, what are your first thoughts, and what would you say to that's happening?
I actually may take that in a different direction if that's
Okay,
okay,
yeah,
Christina. 'Cause
absolutely.
You started talking about the app, and I think that's something that brands are doing really well right now. And I think back to maybe one of my favorites is Revolve. I buy far too much stuff from them. But when you open it up, it has those AI generated options for you on the app, right? So like your love list, not things that I've selected, or not only things that I've selected, but things that it also thinks that I would like as well too. And that's fantastic for product discovery. And I think that's something that more brands should bring to their app as well too. But then how do you create that, promo of, oh, I liked, again, if I was looking for, best blushes for fall, how do you then create a pop-up that's not going to be too invasive, but let them know that there's a promotion going on? How do you then, when I convert that sale and I do buy that blush, how do you then bring me into maybe more of the Patrick Ta, in this instance, like the Patrick Ta blushes, if that is the one that I ended up buying, right? So I think this idea of using AI for real-time personalization, real-time targeted advertising, the best AI is using the best data, and I think being able to better target your audience is going to be huge for customer loyalty right now. So do love that space, especially from a brand perspective.
Awesome. If you could give any advice to any founder right now in the space, what would that be?
Network, right? Like I think events like this are fantastic. I love going on to SF Tech Week, before Tech Week started, and just searching for, buzzy keywords and things that I oversee, right? So retail, media, and sports. And I signed up for everything that I could. And just being able to, whenever I enter a room, like meet two people that you think that are going to be great connections for you. Follow up with them, and just ask them for coffee as well too, right? I know we talked about this earlier, but it's so easy to have that cold outreach on LinkedIn. People know that that's how networks are built. So don't be afraid to reach out. When you go into a room, meet at least two new people, follow up with them, And if there's ever anything that you're seeing, like I always love to do like article outreaches, right? Like and maybe this is the former journalist in me, but I read so many newsletters, I've taken so many podcasts. My commute's also 2 hours each day. So like I'm really digging in on the podcast scene right now. So I will send people podcasts if it makes me think of them. And I think that's a really great touch point. It doesn't always have to be what can you do for me, but it's that relationship build, and then it makes it easier when you do have an actual ask for them.
Absolutely, that's really true. Makes it a lot easier, makes it a lot more less centered around you and more about actually wanting to have an authentic, meaningful relationship with someone.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite moments. I'll have a lot of people reach out to me and give me their ask, and then my favorites are when they stop and they say, so what can I do for you? Amazing, thank you. Like this is a two-way relationship, right? And every relationship should go both ways. So even just that simple stop of, okay, I know, and I've had this from founders before, right? Coming in and asking me for funding, and then they'll say, how can I help you? And I can say, oh, awesome, I actually know that you're working with someone that I'd like to bring on as a corporate partner. Like, can you make that introduction for me? Like, that's how that relationship should be built.
Awesome, that's great. I think we need to be reminded about that. Because sometimes, we're just in our own space, building and just so focused and really just forget about that. It's the connection, the human connection that really makes everything possible. Without humans, we're in tech, yes, it's AI, but it's really the human connection that makes everything possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Just like this today, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me and for coming out here. You guys, I hope that you enjoyed Beautéverse, and I hope that you enjoyed this panel and everything that me and Kristen spoke about here today. I do want to open up the room and see if there is any questions that Kristen can answer for you. You guys have any questions? Yeah, definitely.
Hi, Christina. Thanks, Kristen, for the great presentation. So I have a question about the drawbacks of looking for the venture capitalist partner. So, for example, we know all the benefits that we get as a startup, as a founder. We get access to distribution, which is one of the critical sides of the business, right? So partnerships, other firms, access to clients, etc. So maybe you can talk about some of the issues that you have observed sometimes happen, and that founders should be aware of. Some of the potential challenges that could happen in this kind of collaboration with venture capital.
Yeah, I think it's the question of, do you want to give up part of your company? Like, do you want to bring someone else onto your board that you are going to have to answer to? Do you want to relinquish that power? Like that's where I go back and forth on it, right? I mean, if there's a lot of accelerated programs that are equity free, plug and play being one of them. So if you're early stage, I would look for some more pitch competitions or opportunities to engage with corporate partners that maybe don't involve you giving up a stake of your company. I think fundraising rounds are really they're really personal based upon what you're looking to get out of it, right? So I always suggest looking for strategic partners as well before looking for venture, or if you are going in venture, look for someone that is specific in consumer and commerce. Look for someone that is specific in fashion tech. Don't look for, just because it's, a Redpoint or a Sequoia or an A16Z, all fantastic, do not get me wrong. It's in this hypothetical. Just because it's a big name doesn't mean that they're going to be the end-all solution for you. Find someone that is going to have that relationship with you, and that because you're marrying them at the end of the day, right? Like there's a contract. So make sure it's someone that you get along with, and not just going for that big flashy name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you share any more details about your accelerator program, like how long it is, pricing, maybe what you look for if someone was going to apply?
For sure, yeah. So we have a few different programs that we run. Our retail program out of Silicon Valley, we do twice a year, 3-month program. Again, we're equity free. So we probably start with about 150 startups that are venture team sources. We then bring that list to our partners. And usually they are broken out by focus areas. So for example, we sat down with our corporate partners last June for our batch that we're currently in right now, and asked them what are focus areas that you would like us to source against. The answers were generative engine optimization, agentic commerce, physical AI, social commerce, which I know our TikTok folks talked about earlier, and agentic, physical. I'm missing one, but all within the AI space. From there, we had that list of 100. We shared it. We narrowed it down to about 20 that pitch and present at what we call our selection day. Our corporate partners vote again, and then we have about 10 to 12 that actually run through the batch. During that batch, we have multiple corporate reverse pitches from not just the retail perspective, but the other verticals that we work within. You have a laundry list of mentors and different workshops that you're a part of as well. At the end of it, you pitch and present at what we call Summit. So over the course of 3 days, it is 4,000 people that come into our headquarters. During each kind of vertical expo, will pitch and present, but also have those one-on-one meetings again with our corporates. Because it's equity free, and again, our corporate innovation practice is a 9-figure business for us, but on the venture capital side, if we see that your startup is getting into these pilots and POCs with our corporate partners, that's when we take it as validation that, oh, we should maybe write you a check. We should maybe invest in your company as well, if that's something that you're looking for as well too. So next batch would be coming up our summit's coming up November 18th through 20th. So next batch, we are gonna start sourcing for December 1st. And we will be going through the selection day process end of February, beginning of March.
And is this all in person or virtual?
Yeah, it's hybrid. So the selection day and the summit are both in person. Everything else can be hybrid. Again, when we have partners in New York and in Bentonville, Arkansas, and in Seattle and Los Angeles, it's hard for them to come out, every single day for an event like this, but they'll come out 4 times a year for us for selection day and for summits. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Yep, go ahead.
You mentioned that virtual product, right? I'm just thinking as a consumer, let's say in the future, what I would want is, like using my phone or a smart mirror to measure all my measurements. I mean, the post and landmarks have everything already, and the recommendation should be exactly to my body and to the colors that look good on me and the cuts that look good on my body type. And then maybe there's a physical store that I can like, so there's lots of things that's recommended to me, but that already got pre-selected based on you can do like data science and beauty and figure out what looks good, and then I choose the ones I like. And maybe like there's a physical store where I can try out, see the fabric and their standard sizes, and then maybe I can change the color slightly as well, and then I get something that's like perfect, that's custom made to me. Now I'm just wondering, like, what are the hurdles of building a business like that, and have you seen startups that try to do it or bigger companies?
Yeah, I think you're describing a few different touch points, right? You're describing the app and or the smart mirror and or the physical store, right? So it's if we go back to the denim example, I will go to Levi's and I will look for the perfect pair of Levi's. You can have my measurements, but I also am gonna wanna touch that material likely, right? So it is the smart mirror where, to your point, you can try it on, or if I'm using an app on my phone for it, I can virtually try it on. But then there's also the question of, okay, if I've said, yes, I do want to go purchase this item, how can you make sure that the brands are up to date for the inventory that you can actually go physically pick that jean up in store that day, right? And I think that's where it goes back to the data perspective. So you need accurate data if you're the brand to know that, yes, this pair of Levi's is in stock 0.2 miles away from me, or if it's not at my usual store, where else can I pick it up? So that's coming from the brand side. But then you also have the smart mirror where, unless it's being built in-house, like how does that data correlate with the data of physically being in, like the actual inventory side?
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, ideally if you're super fast at making like just one by one, you would make it after someone like absolutely loves something and choose something, but I guess they might want to return. The smart mirror, it's not necessary. I guess you can just project whatever that you have on your phone to like a TV. That could work too. But I guess it's like if I just think about like a company that like if you can build it, then it will like also make the clothes and you don't have to have the mirror. That would be like a luxury piece. Because you already have a mirror, now you want a smart one, and you can fitness, fashion, also tell you what you put your makeup,
would be great if someone invented that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah, it might be you.
Yeah.
We'll take one more question. Oh, okay. All right.
So you mentioned GEO and personalization for the retail industry. What are some of the next big things you're seeing in sports and media?
Ooh, love that. Okay, I'll nerd out for just a second. I view sports in the sports tech in the golden triangle of fan engagement technologies, stadium technologies, and player health and performance technologies. I use the example a lot of Steph Curry versus the Warriors in terms of the type of investment body that would be looking for these technologies. If you're the Golden State Warriors, you're looking for technologies that fit in the stadium and the fan engagement side, because that is, you're looking for revenue generating opportunities, right? You are looking for technologies that can create a better fan experience as you're getting into the stadium. You are looking for technologies that can increase the number of sponsorships that you can sell against, right? If you are looking for the Steph Curry perspective, you're looking for player health and performance technologies. You're looking for technologies that can decrease your recovery time, can increase the amount of games that you can play per year. So that's where you see a bit of the different like investment thesis behind it on the sports side. I would say what's really cool is that the player health and performance side is having a high investment level from emerging teams and leagues. And specifically, I look at women's sports. So long, women have been viewed as small men, which is not true. So the data and analytics that you see from the NWSL and the WNBA have been pulled for the longest time by their male counterparts, by the MLS and by the NBA. And now you're seeing like the Valkyries and Bay FC start to invest in technologies that can give them a better sense of their player, and things that are also inherently like female focused, right? Like I've worked with wearable technologies. There's a great female founded wearable technology called Hydrostasis that focuses on your hydration levels. It's the first wearable that tracks your hydration level. Again, if we go back to the founder and like the why, her why for why she created this is because she's a triathlete and she didn't have the right technology to be able to track her hydration levels as she was going through training. So she just built it. So a lot of times women, when we're on our menstrual cycles, higher risk for ACL and MCL tears. We're at a higher risk for dehydration. These are things that men never looked at. Now we have women that are building out these technologies, so we can actually have data that's going to affect the performance on the field, and also prevent injuries as well too. So I absolutely love the investment that we're seeing there in the women's sports space right now. I think stadium technologies, we're doing a lot of facial authentication right now, the cool thing too is the stadium technology is also in-store technology, right? There's some really cool physical AI tech that we've worked with called Wavy Analytics that are smart shelf sensors that, a little bit Big Brother here, but track your electromagnetic currents of your heart rate to track customer sentiment. So it doesn't pick up on like your face or anything like that, but it will say, okay, if I'm picking up a Golden State Valkyries shirt versus like a Warrior shirt, does my sentiment change at all? Same thing from the grocery perspective. If I'm picking up a 6-pack of water versus a 6-pack of beer, does my sentiment change? So really fun to be able to have that tech that sits between kind of the retail stores, but also the merchandising aspect within a venue as well too. And then fan engagement, how can you better personalize the fan experience? This is the last thing that I'll say. The NBA is now going to be on Amazon Prime moving forward. I'm super excited because Amazon's just nailing it there right now. If you've looked at some of the mocks for their new NBA broadcasts, not only are you going to have the option to like chat with friends, but you're also going to have your live betting, you're going to have live stats, and you're going to have the ability for live personalized recommendations to buy the jersey or the shoe or whatever you're watching in that game as well too. So I think they've created that first holistic experience that at least myself as a fan, I have wanted to see on a broadcast. That's awesome.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to have networking afterwards. And then if you have any questions for any of our speakers, you can ask them, connect with them, make sure you grab their LinkedIns. Again, thank you, Kristen, so much for joining me. And thank you for coming.
Yeah, anytime.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, we can go in there. There's more drinks at the bar. I know that there's not any coffee anymore being made, but you guys are we are here till 8:30.
And I'm 20.
Oh,